Hello, welcome to Fo's Journey Across the Bridge. I'm Fozia. How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, started the week on a good note, and that all is well. So, we're going to answer the questions to our part two Healing Ourselves series, okay? So, I recently had posted the question part, and today I'm here to share with you as my answer to those questions. And I hope that you are as well taking the time to answer those questions for yourself. And remember, we are doing this healing together. And I hope you prioritize yourself and find the time to do the work. So we're going to start with 3 deep breaths, okay? So let's go. So let's go. I'm going to read the questions and then answer the questions. Read the question and then answer it. So I have lots of notes. So I will be looking down a lot just because I'll be reading the answers of my notes here. Here we go. So this is the answer part of the questions, part 2 questions. And this is from page 19 to 24. Okay? So we're doing the work of healing the child within. Okay, so this is the healing series. Welcome. So, question 1. Okay, who is the child living within? Who is this child living within? Okay. Okay. I think I went a bit too far. Just give me a moment and I will erase the questions here. Lots of notes. Answers. Here we go. Who is this child living within? This child is Fozia. She's 5 years old, and right now she feels safe and secure, comfortable where she is. Are you addicted to anything? I was addicted to love stories, fairy tale, being rescued, Prince Charming, rescue me. I was addicted to how they could save me, but I originally did not know that it was the reason behind my complete infatuation with being rescued love stories. I didn't know why I was so hooked on the love stories, those fairy tales. When did the addiction start? I think the addiction, infatuation started when I was first introduced to the Cinderella story. I did not see a way out of my abusive environment. I felt stuck and helpless, even hopeless. But somehow, that simple bedtime story told to me filled me with so much hope that I felt like a door or a window had opened up in my mind. Light was shining in my dark, isolated, and trapped mind. I had something to look forward to, something to pull me through, to pull me out. It was a guiding light. Though I did not know how to free myself from my toxic environment, okay, but from that story, I knew that there was a way, and I hung on to that, and I pumped that story into me as a lifeline. Having the same outcome as Cinderella became my identity. I gave all of my power to it. That man, a prince, would rescue me. I stayed stuck on that. I refused to see my own strength even after I became fully capable, or at least grown in size. It took me a while, by doing my healing work, to see that I was the one to save me, to rescue me, to heal me. I even started to reject needing a man because it was so much associated with the false belief that I held and carried for too long. The needing a man had to mean that I was weak, so I rejected and denied the wanting. So I rejected and denied wanting that to become my outcome. I started rejecting that high that came from needing to be rescued. Yeah. A lot wrapped up into that question. Huh? Okay, question. So this is all part of question. Are you addicted to anything? When did the addiction start? And then the next one is, what triggered the addiction? Like I said, it started as a form of a rope to hold on to get out of a dark place. I know that hoping for someone to rescue you, may not seem as dangerous as any other form of addiction. But one can easily take a position of complete helplessness and give their power away, or even remain non-participant in their own well-being, and that could be destructive in many ways. Surrendering your power and your ability meant your own needs. Surrendering your power and your ability to meet your own needs for provision and protection. So instead, you are waiting for someone else to come and do it. Addicted to needing to be taken care of, resulted from trauma response, not having the many different strength to get from underneath it. If not careful, a helping hand can become a crutch. You have to know the use of a temporary support and to not stop using your own strength altogether. I was leaning on being rescued and gave up my own abilities. I saw it as if I was not able to do it when I needed to rescue myself from the trauma, from the attack, then I must not have the needed strength to do it now, or to do it altogether. So the getting someone, a man who has the strength, became my addiction. As was told in Cinderella, a man who changes her life and takes her away from bad people and keeps her in a safe and beautiful castle. Now we're going to go into question 3. Are you getting any help or support as an adult child from any type of dysfunctional family exposure? I did receive some counseling and healing that allowed me to speak on my upbringings and the environment that I was brought up in, and the beliefs and opinions that were held. But currently, I am not receiving support in terms of therapy, but again, through following experts on their social media page and reading books, I have been able to create healthy boundaries that do support me and aid in making sure that any behaviors that do not align with my overall peace of mind and well-being, that they are faced with firm boundaries. I am putting my health and first priority and maintaining those lines that keep me safe. Question number 4. In what ways did you receive inadequate parenting? So here, I decided to kind of break the question apart. I looked up the word inadequate. Lacking the quality or quantity required. Insufficient for a purpose. Okay? So in what ways did you receive insufficient parenting? Better question. Not enough parenting. In what ways was the parenting you received, was it not enough? What did you need your parents to do more of? I needed my parents to have been more emotionally and mentally and physically present. I needed them to have been better caretakers by being present and actually physically present. I needed them to be aware of the dangers that were in my environment. I needed them to have communicated to me about how to protect myself and what to do if I should experience harm. I needed them to create a safe environment to live and grow up in. I needed them to offer me emotional support and guidance. I needed them to teach me how to heal. I needed them to help me recover from the attack by supporting me through the healing process. I needed them to check in on me more often, to check in on how I'm doing, ask how I am feeling, to be more emotionally accessible, and few other things. So that's how I answered that question. I broke it apart to better understand it, and I answered it that way. So question number 5. Why is your inner child trapped inside? Why did your inner child go underground? What caused your inner child to go underground? Okay. So let me follow my notes here. I hate myself disconnected from physical because of the trauma. I hate what happened to myself. Okay, my environment was not safe growing up. I am not sure if even now, if my parents were aware of that growing up, my environment was not safe. When I look back at it, it almost felt like a war zone. Not sure where the next bomb will drop, where the next attack will come from, and feeling completely alone in that condition. I wonder where did I get it from? The way that I moved in the environment, but also the way that I stayed silent, not screaming and not fighting and not telling what was happening to me. I know that the first attack, I fought like hell, but it seems like because I was defeated, I lost hope in my own ability to make a difference, other than escaping spaces, both internally and physically. I hid me inside of me to keep me safe, which is something so unique, which is something that I'm finding now so unique. Like, how do you even know how to do that, right? How do you know that we have a self that can be hidden inside of our body? Is that the soul that then separate from being fully connected to the physical body, to not only showing up in some parts of the body? I also escape physically to stay safe. First of all, to go underground is by choice. To be trapped underground is by force. Okay, so I asked these questions as I was answering question 5. Did the trauma force me underground? And if so, then how? Or did the painful trauma cause me to hide underground? And if then I am trapped underground, what is the trap? Is it a trap set by me to make sure that I never fully reconnect to my physical being out of fear that it is not safe to do so? Or is the trap a result of too many things, pains and trauma blocking the door? So I've decided that these questions are going to be in a later video, in a separate video, but I just wanted to include them as part of the question because it came up for me when I was answering question 5 of why is your inner child trapped inside? Why did your inner child go underground? What caused your inner child to go underground? It was almost like me creating a roadmap as to be able to answer this question right now. It's by laying those different by asking more questions to be able to answer these specific questions. Okay, I also put a side note next to this question. I put rejected themselves due to trauma, hated myself, disconnected from self physically because of that trauma, hated what happened to myself. Okay, so that was also part of the question number 5. I really do appreciate you guys joining me on this journey. Not only am I here to share with you guys the healing process that I'm using for myself at this current moment, I've also gone ahead and shared with you guys issues that are challenges that have come up before that I was able to face and address in previous videos. So I hope you go back and also take a look at that. And moving forward, not only is the healing series I'm going to continue until we finish the book, but as well I am also going to, in between those, share with you guys other videos with topics that I've either was able to transform within myself or I am working through, to allow you guys also to see and look into yourself and see if you're experiencing the same thing, and also like an inventory thing to see where are you with that. All right, so again, I'm Fawzia and you're tuned into Faw's Journey Across the Bridge, and this is the healing series. So let's continue. This is question number 6. As a child, did you experience abuse, trauma, and how is it affecting your life? As a child, I experienced physical abuse, emotional neglect, and was exposed to a toxic environment. The way it affected my life: first, the abuse was a traumatic event which came with many underlying issues. It affected my learning development, my ability to reason and make sense out of a lot of things. I was living in a constant state of flight. I did not know that my many responses were trauma responses. I thought something was wrong with me, and not because of an attack. I had no idea it was a trauma response. My emotions stayed trapped inside. I did not know that I could express them. I must have cried a lot instead. Okay? Which is not a healthy response for any situation, nor tolerated as you get older, right? My environment was not safe. I was constantly stressed, watching my back, afraid of being attacked, of being abused. My basic needs of feeling safe, provided for, and protected were neglected. I felt alone in these issues. I felt alone in these issues. And that was my experience. I felt hopeless, helpless often, if not constant. It was an awful experience. Question 7. Were the basic needs of your inner child met? Needs for love, was my needs for love met? Was my need for safety met? Was my needs for trust, respect, and guidance? Okay, so I felt loved, but because of the trauma, I felt that my person was unlovable. My needs for safety were not met. I constantly left my space to avoid being attacked. I avoided being alone to avoid attacks. I constantly escaped emotionally, mentally, and physically so that my body could be safe. I had a hard time keeping my body safe from harm. Trust. So the first one was love, which I answered. The second one was for safety, which I also answered. Now I'm answering for trust. So trust, this is a big one. So I looked up the meaning so that I can answer it correctly. Because I had lost trust in people's ability to be there for me, that I could trust, okay, that they could be there to protect me. I lost that trust in God, okay? So I looked up, so let me just rewind. So when I say I lost trust in people's ability to protect me, and I also lost trust in God, I felt like, how can God let those things that happen to me, right? So I wanted to again look up the meaning of trust. It says firm belief in the reliability. Okay, the truth, the ability, strength of someone or something, faith in someone's ability or strength. So I said, let me look up the word reliability. And it says the quality of being trustworthy or of performing consistently well. My basic need of trusting those in charge of me was gone. I could not rely on their ability to perform consistently well. And also I lost trust, okay, and would only, and I also lost trust and could only see certain people as potential attackers. Yeah, so it became like, I can't trust these people, like that person could harm me. So it was like almost not sure who I could trust. Everyone just seemed like they could be someone that could harm me, right? Now, my need for respect, was it met? Of course, I had lost respect for those who resembled my attackers. I lost respect for myself for having been attacked, and not having my unspoken boundaries respected caused me to believe that anyone could disrespect me, and all I could do was run away, avoid them next time, or numb by escaping into my body. I also lost respect for a lot of people. I no longer respected their abilities, especially to be able to protect me. So now my need for guidance, was my needs for guidance as a child met? Were the needs of my inner child met in terms of guidance? I may have received some guidance, but I wish that I received so much more. Like, speak up when someone is behaving inappropriately with you. Like, this is how you can defend yourself. Or stay away from this and that. Or follow your dreams and listen and trust your intuition. I could have benefited from so much more guidance. Yeah. I feel like God had always sent. I always was able to find people that kind of like took a certain role in my life. If one person was absent, someone stepped in, especially if I was in need of that person's guidance, someone else stepped in. Question number 8. As unhealed adults, how can we build our world from a shaky foundation? When I had built from a false sense of self, a wounded self, the relationship that I was creating with another came down pretty hard. And because I did not have the right tools to have a solid foundation for myself, I could not transfer those tools to help sustain the relationship. So I didn't have it in my own life. There was no way I was going to come into a connection with someone and be able to provide some type of tools that I didn't have, right? I could have figured out with them if we were both in that space of figuring things out and building healthy foundations. But if you're not, then you're just two people who don't have strong foundations for themselves and then trying to come together to build it without having that consciousness around it. So question number 9. Have you acknowledged the damaged child within? I am acknowledging the child. I am acknowledging the damaged child now more than ever before, and I am holding space for her as well. I am holding space for her as we heal ourselves. So the question is, have you acknowledged the damaged child within? And I am answering, I am acknowledging the damaged child within now more than ever before, and I'm holding space for her as we heal ourselves. But I did not always acknowledge her presence. Okay. Only once I started to fully heal that I started holding space for her. Okay. All right. So question 9, I've kind of put it into A, B, C, and D. Okay, so let me go back, read the question, and I start reading again from my notes. Have you acknowledged the damaged child within now more than ever before? No, that's not the question. Have you acknowledged the damaged child within? I am acknowledging the damaged child within now more than ever before, and I'm holding space for her as we heal ourselves. But I did not always acknowledge her presence. Only once I started healing, okay, that I started holding space for her. So that was question B as part of question 9 is, did you know what damaged the inner child? And the answer to that, yes. I was abused as a child by those who had trespassed. And do you know what damages the inner child has and is experiencing currently? Okay. Okay. So I want to go back to question B as part of question 9. Do you know what damaged the inner child? Okay. And so my answer again is, I was abused as a child by those who had trespassed, and also I was exposed to toxic behaviors. Question C. Okay. Question C. And do you know what damages the inner child has and is experiencing currently? I spoke about memory